So why do we use GitHub Actions? So we use GitHub Actions, one, because of the seamless integration within GitHub. It is already a service within GitHub. So because of that, we can just use the integration. There is no much of a lift in terms of integrating. So if we were using a tool like Jenkins, which is another CI/CD tool, but our source code lives in GitHub, we have to do some form of integration. But because GitHub Actions is already a native tool or service within GitHub, we will have a seamless integration, right? Seamless integration with GitHub. Now, it also, we are going to use it because of its event-driven architecture. So it uses an event-driven architecture, allowing workflows to be triggered by a wide range of events. So when we are working with the code in GitHub, when we do something like a commit or a push or a pull request, when we do a push into GitHub or a pull request, right? In GitHub, that is captured as an event, okay? It is the same thing when we're working with AWS. If you do to go to create an S3 bucket or you stop an instance. So because of that, AWS captures all those as events. So when you look at CloudTrail, or when you look at the logs, it will capture, if I start an instance or I create an S3 bucket, that is an event within, it is a create bucket event that you can see it in the logs. It can be captured as an event within the logs. So that is the same thing within GitHub. When you do a push or a pull request, that is an event. And because of that event-driven nature of GitHub, we can capitalize on that. And we can create our workflows, what we call our workflows. We can create our workflows so that they can leverage these events, right? So we can say our workflow will run when we do a push. So it will be listening to the push. Or we can say our workflow will run when we do a pull request. So anytime I do a pull request, GitHub, the workflow will be listening to that. Whenever I click pull request, then the workflow will be triggered. So that is the event-driven nature of GitHub. Now, it also has what we call modular and reusable actions. It has modules that you can use, just like, I will do a lot of comparison. Just like in Terraform, you can get an official module. You want to create a VPC. I can just go to the official documentation. I can get a module that has already been built, an official module that is already there to be used. So GitHub also has what we call reusable actions. They call them actions. So these actions are like modules that have already been created. And these modules, you can use the GitHub community. There's a community that contributes in creating these modules. And they can be found from the GitHub Actions marketplace. So you can create your own module, your own action module, and you can publish it in the marketplace. So once you do that, then people can use it. So you create a module that can do a specific thing, right? And we will see that we have a lot of GitHub Actions modules that you can use. There is a cross-platform support. Cross-platform support here, it basically means that I can run my workflow on multiple platforms. Now, platforms here means I can run my workflow on a Linux environment. I can run it on a Windows environment. I can run it on a Mac OS environment, okay? So, and many others. I can run it in Docker, right? In a Docker container. So I just need to define the platform, or I need to define the environment that I would like my workflow to run. So GitHub Action, it will provide you with this cross-platform support to ensuring that you can test your application on different environments before you publish, right? Now, it has extensive customization options, meaning I can create my workflow and I can have my workflow run. I can have conditions. I can pass conditional statement. I can say, for example, I can customize my workflow. I can say, if it is a pull request on the development branch, then just run a Terraform plan. But if that pull request is approved and there is a push to merge into main, if you are trying to merge into main, and if the pull request passed, right, those are conditions, then run and apply in main. So as it merges to main, then run and apply. So I can customize my workflow and build logic into my workflow so that my workflow is smart enough to listen to events and it's using conditions. So if it's a pull request, then it will just run Terraform plan. It doesn't need to apply. I just need the plan. But if I merge that code into main, then it will run Terraform apply. So we will see that we can extensively customize it. It has a continuous integration. Basically, it simplifies the process of setting up CI/CD pipelines by providing an environment where tasks such as building, testing, deploying can be configured and executed directly within GitHub. Okay? It is scalable and performance, utilizing parallelism. So you can create your workflow to run in parallel. In parallel just means I can have multiple jobs, right? I can have multiple jobs run at the same time. So if I have, let's say, 4 jobs, I can say I want for performance, I want these jobs to take the least possible time to complete. So with that, I can have them run in parallel. I can have all my 4 jobs to run at the same time. But at the same time, if I want to to create dependencies. So I can put conditions. I can say, I would like job 1 to run first. Now, if job 1 completes and job 1 succeeds, then job 2 can run. If job 2 succeeds, then job 3 can run. If 3 succeeds, then job 4 can run. So I can run my workloads in series. So I have a lot of options in terms of scaling up, in terms of performance, and how I want my workflow to run. There is security and compliance by the ability to store sensitive data securely using what we call secrets. So if I have sensitive data and I would like to pass within my workflow, that sensitive data I can pass in as secrets, and we will see how that's happened. So you can also have what we call self-hosted runners. They can be used to maintain full control over the execution of the environment. So with that, you can have runners that are maintained by GitHub, and we will see what runners are. Or you can have runners that you are hosting yourself, and that is basically for security. Sometimes we have companies want to have their own, what we call runners, their own EC2 instances that they have configured to run their workload. Okay, so those will be called self-hosted runners, and we'll see what that is. So that's in terms of security. There's a community and an ecosystem. It has a very large active community of developers. So we have a lot of actions that are being built. We have a community of developers that are working hard just to continue updating, modularizing a lot of actions. So that's some of the reasons why we use GitHub Actions. It's cost effective. It offers a cost-effective solution for automation, particularly for open source projects and small teams. So public repositories can use GitHub Actions for free, okay? But while private repositories, they receive a certain amount of free usage each month with the option to purchase additional minutes. So if you're running your actions on a private repository, you have a certain amount of minutes that you can run, free usage of the runner. But once you go past or you exceed that per month, you have the option to buy more minutes, right? Which is just basically like a couple of cents to buy more minutes so that your runners keep your actions will keep running. And we will see why that is important, okay?